Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Frankenzone and our Frankenzone 13. I'm Mark. I can't believe I ate 3 cans of cheese dip Macrina.
And I'm Scott. She was already dead when I found her. Johnson. What?
Wow. Okay, glossing over Scott's homicidal tendencies, let's talk a little bit about guilty pleasures. You know we all have them, especially with films, television, music.
Farm animals.
Nope, Frankenzone actually does not condone having sex with farm animals, or any animal for that matter, excluding sea monkeys.
We've decided to talk a little bit about those guilty pleasures in movies, those films and genres that seemed either to get a bad rap or never made the cut to world acceptance, or were nothing more than a passing fad, like disco, Steve Urkel.
The leprechauns.
Yes, leprechauns.
Actually, I never understood the phrase guilty pleasures, you know? I mean, why should we feel guilty about the stuff we like? Is it a crime or something?
Well, it's just the language. It's words to, you know.
Language. The hell with language. Blippity bloppity bloop. There's your language.
You forgot to take your meds again, didn't you?
Note, no one in the cast of Frankenzone is on any medication, with the following exceptions.
And so, without further ado, and in no real particular order, here are our top 13 guilty, whatever that means, pleasures in movies.
Oh, thank you.
Number 13, The Monster Squad. Actually, I know a lot of people that enjoy this movie, so I guess this is more accepted than some of our other choices on here. But though it never really launched into worldwide success, this is still a kick-ass movie. And why not? It has everything a monster movie buff could want. You've got your classic monsters dropped into an 80s setting, battling the Kmart versions of the Goonies, complete with its own tough guy, awkward nerdy lead, and lovable yet misunderstood ugly monster. And a scary German guy with a pie fetish.
It's your last chance for pie.
Thanks, Mr.
Here we go.
Okay, so not everything's the same. Heck, they even have the same actress playing the mom. Basically, the story is Dracula assembling the other infamous monsters to help him rule in a world plunged into darkness. His army includes the Mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Frankenstein monster that quotes Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Bogus!
And a wolfman with the reptilian power to regenerate, for some reason. Of course, these foul fiends didn't reckon on the awesome powers of the Monster Squad, a group of kids with a vast knowledge of monster lore, weaponry, and the dude from Kids Incorporated as their muscle. Sure, it's corny, it's hokey, it's very 80s, and at times does forget whether it's supposed to be a movie for kids or adults, but still, it's really fun to watch, especially for us old farts who grew up in a time when even the most ridiculous yet hilarious observation was enough for a catchphrase.
Wolfman's got nards!
Number 12, Teen Wolf 2. Staying on the subject on monsters for the moment, if you thought a regenerating werewolf was classic, how about one that boxes? Crazy, right? Outrageous, yes? Ridiculous, you say? Well, yes, you'd be right. But is it really more ridiculous than a werewolf who plays basketball? Seriously, why was that more universally accepted, whereas a boxing werewolf was so frowned upon? I mean, a soccer-playing werewolf, okay, but... Well, anyhow, for those who remember, Michael J. Fox played Scott, a loser who was suddenly universally accepted when he finds out he's a werewolf. Instead of arming themselves with silver bullets and wolfbane, the town embraces Scott's supernaturalness by putting his pictures on t-shirts and baseball hats. Hell, he even gets laid by the most popular girl in school because of his ailment, and of course, he magically becomes the greatest basketball player in town. Well, turns out Scott has a cousin named Todd, who also happens to carry the curse of the super athletic werewolf, and like before, becomes the big wolf on campus after sprouting hair and fangs. Once again, no one is really fazed by the notion that the supernatural and powers of darkness are all in fact true, but rather dance around like idiots because this werewolf is good at boxing. Right, boxing. And before long, the plot from the first movie replays only with less appealing versions of the characters from the first film. Still, the movie is fun and doesn't take itself seriously at all, which you can tell by the movie's musical number just thrown in there.
Number 11, The Gate. Now, I loved this movie as a kid, and damn it, I still get a chill from watching it.
Hell yeah.
This movie is about two kids who pretty much find a hole in their backyard leading to hell. And they simply decide to put a plank of wood over it to keep the demons at bay. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, works.
Yeah. The kids then end up releasing demons into the world, and soon their house is overrun with some of the most bizarre and nightmarish shit that would give Poltergeist a run for its money.
This house is clean.
I mean, check this crap out. A dancing woman that turns into a dead dog, giant fish-looking monsters, melting phones, undead corpses, young prepubescent Stephen Dorff. How could anyone not shiver at all this? I honestly think this movie still holds up as a great horror film, even by today's standards. Some of the effects are outdated, and some of its more cheery family moments seem a bit out of place, but overall, it's always been one that has affected me. If anything, I've learned that to keep demons in hell, all it takes is wood. That's it. Too bad the people from The Exorcist weren't aware of that.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Psycho, the beginning. Let's face it, Psycho was probably the last movie of its time that needed a sequel. It's clearly a masterpiece and has been celebrated for generations as one of the greatest thrillers ever made, yet Hollywood seemed determined to destroy its magic by making some god-awful sequels and spin-off series, though I haven't seen much of the new show, so I'll leave that for you to decide. However, there was one sequel, or rather, a prequel, that is actually pretty enjoyable in telling how Norman came to be the knife-wielding crossdresser we know and love today. Despite some bad acting, it's pretty cool to watch. It deals a lot with Norman as a boy and his bizarre and often incestuous relationship with his mom. What separates this from the other sequels is its attempt on being different via being a prequel. Remember, this was a time when making prequels was uncommon, not like today, which seems to be standard practices in franchises. Also, the movie manages to add some dark comedy to it.
He murdered your daughter. Could you tell us what that feels like to you? I mean, you must have loved your daughter.
She was a world-class bitch who didn't deserve a boy like Raymond.
Heck, you have John Landis in it as a station manager. That should say it all.
You're gonna let human beings get killed for the sake of ratings?
Look, ratings have nothing to do with it.
They do to me.
Yes, the movie, much like the others, didn't have to be made, and you could argue that, like a lot of prequels in horror films, it sort of takes away from the mystery of what made Norman Bates what he was. But again, at least it was trying to be something different, and does have some cool things to offer, like gore scenes, nods to the original.
Just me and my trusty umbrella.
And even some decent special effects. And the boy from E.T. All grown up, making out with women.
Unhook me?
Like in my dreams.
Someday it'll happen. Number 9, Orca. Before Free Willy made killer whales a household name, there was Orca, a movie many considered to be the biggest Jaws ripoff since the last Jaws sequel that ripped itself off. Or something like that, I don't know. Mark was drunk when he wrote this part. Personally, I never...
Can't
smell like it.
Note, we here at the Frankenzone do not condone the consumption of alcohol in vast amounts. We do, however, condone ritual sacrifices to serve the goat god Bah Humbugulus.
Personally, I never understood this notion. Other than a sea predator terrorizing people on an island, these two films had little in common. In Jaws, a shark attacks people because, well, it's a shark, and so the attacks are savage, unwarranted, and all because, well, it's a shark and he's hungry. Simple. In Orca, the only reason the whale goes after people is because Richard Harris seeks him out and kills his wife and kid. Actually, he doesn't kill the whale fetus that is the orca child, but rather hoses him off the deck after the mother gives birth to it. I mean, tell me that wouldn't drive you into homicidal rage. Of course, the whale is going to bring down the thunder.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
That's the difference between these two movies in an ethical sense. In Jaws, the shark is a villain. In Orca, the whale is seeking revenge against those who killed his family, and he's doing it Charles Bronson style. We root for this whale. We want these people dead, damn it. If you ever pass by this movie again, try watching it from that point of view. Of course, it doesn't compare to Jaws movie-wise, but it's still a good movie with some great acting from leads Richard Harris, pre-Dumbledore days, and Charlotte Rampling, pre-Strange Therapist and Dexter days. If anything, Orca is more a Moby Dick story than a Jaws tale, a high-sea adventure that I think never got the credit it deserved.
I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Amen to that.
Bam in your face, camera!
Number 8, found footage films. I know, these things can get pretty obnoxious. What was once an interesting approach to filmmaking, debuting in the Blair Witch Project, has since become a way to make films in a very cheap and lazy way.
Boo.
Sure, there have been some that have been a cut above the rest, like Paranormal Activity, Cloverfield, and more recently, The Taking of Deborah Logan or the VHS franchise. But most of them border on either as boring as molasses dripping from a tree, to hold the camera still, goddammit, to just, huh? So why do I enjoy these movies so much? I guess it's like when you're forced to watch home movies of people where nothing bad happens but you imagine it does or want it to so bad. In these, that actually happens, and it's always fun to wonder how and when the crazy stuff is gonna surface. Whatever the reason, found footage movies just do it for me. Yeah, I know they're bad, but if there are people out there who can enjoy Duck Dynasty, then goddammit, I have my right as well to enjoy low-grade, low-production entertainment. I'm on this show, aren't I?
Appear so. Number 7, disaster movies. What can I say? I love explosions.
Kaboom.
Say what you want about Roland Emmerich or even Michael Bay, I mean, before he started raping my childhood memories. But disaster movies are something I never get tired of. The spectacle of crumbling cities, tidal waves swallowing ships and capsizing vessels, American landmarks blasted all to hell by alien death rays. Yes, they might have all been done to death, but as far as I'm concerned, keep them coming. Ever since Independence Day, I have never lost my love for these thrill rides. Forget the stereotypical characters, the simplistic plots, the cliched dialogue. To me, these are all like theme park rides. Sure, I love deep movies, artsy films, dramas. I even sat through Pi and loved it. At least I think I did. But we all love our junk food, and every now and then you just need to turn your brain off and enjoy the ride. Now don't get me wrong, not all of them get a free pass, but I'll always have a place in my heart for earthquakes, alien invasions, erupting volcanoes, and bad pop soundtracks done by musicians well past their prime.
And I don't want to miss a thing.
Number 6, Howard the Duck. Leah Thompson having sex with a duck from outer space.
Do we really need to say more? Number 5, Sci-Fi Channel movies. You know, these low-budget, really awful ones they usually have in marathon form on the weekends? How could we not love those awful movies? They are the very reason to stay in on the weekend unless you have a life. I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, same here. Oh, I don't know.
But thankfully, I can bask in the glorious fact that while I may be a loser, I haven't made a movie just as awful or been part of a movie just as awful as... God damn it! Still, as much as I chastise movies like The Two-Headed Shark, Axe Giant, or Sharknado, I can't help but find them fun and enduring. Where else can you see giant sharks take down a plane during its flight? Or a shark take out the Golden Gate Bridge? Or a shark swimming through sand? Or a mutated sperm whale eating a humpback whale? Hell, where else are Tiffany, Tara Reid, and Debbie Gibson gonna find work? Sure, they're terrible, but an entertaining sort of terrible. They pass the time, something to watch while you're drunk or high, Not that I've ever been. Sorry, Mom.
Number 4, Batman the movie. Before Christian Bale, before Michael Keaton, and far better than George Clooney, there was Adam West. And to many, Adam West still remains Batman in the public's mind. Pow, bam, whiff, and all. As campy as the show was, it was the movie that pulled out all the stops. Not only did this feature jump the shark, it had a shark, and an exploding shark at that. But that's only the beginning. What about the super scientific death ray that dehydrates people, turning them into multicolored powdered laundry detergent? You also have Batman's Fab Four from his rogues gallery, Penguin, Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman, hell-bent of world domination via deadly jack-in-the-box death traps, giant penguin submarines, and a bomb. Yeah, just a very goofy-looking bomb. Looks like it was yanked from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
But still, for Batman fans of all ages, this ultra-campy, ultra-psychedelic, ultra-flamboyant Batman has something for everyone. Except maybe for fans of the Batman comic books, but deep down they know they love it. And as goofy as it is, it's a good time. And dude, an exploding shark. Again, come on! Hey, at least you understand what this Batman was saying.
You'll be in a better jail forever. What?
Number 3, the Jaws sequels. Jaws. What can you say about it that hasn't already been said?
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I think they said that.
Oh.
Well, it's a masterpiece either way, and it's a classic. The very reason we have shitty Shark Attack sequels. It's been ripped off, parodied, and celebrated for generations. It's almost on everyone's top 10 list and made underwater POV shots a standard in underwater horror films. And it gave birth to 3 sequels hated by many.
I rented all 4 Jaws movies in a row. This is a low point in your life. When it's like 4:45, you're watching Jaws for the Revenge. That's the title, Jaws for the Revenge. And you're sitting there going, this shouldn't be the title. The title should be, here's a fish, you're stupid. That's the title.
But there are those out there like me who would sit through an endless number of these movies. Heck, they can make Jaws 24 and I'd be there. I mean, how bad are these sequels really? Well, okay, pretty bad, but today we have 2-headed sharks, genetically engineered sharks, the idea of a shark following a family from New England to the Bahamas in less time than it does an airplane seems almost feasible. Well, almost. We already talked about those awful sci-fi shark movies, and I think Jaws 3 and 4 are sort of a prelude to them. Actually, the idea for Jaws 3 wasn't that bad if it went ahead without the bad 3D effects. Different characters, maybe some more appealing actors might help. Sorry, Lou, but...
Mr. Cape, it's sealed the park. You hear me? Sealed the park. I'll be down in a minute.
A shark attack at SeaWorld? I mean, come on. Let's reboot this idea with today's technology. Jaws taking out a bunch of tourists during these annoying light shows and shit. Corrupt SeaWorld execs and annoying trainers getting devoured. I say make it happen. Why not? After seeing the documentary Blackfish, I think most people would want it to happen.
Number 2, Plan 9 from Outer Space. For many, this is considered the worst movie ever made. Of course, by today's standards, I doubt this one would even be a contender. Oh, sure, it may be up there still for many, but dude, give me this.
We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Over this. Or this.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Plan 9 from Outer Space, for those who don't know, was written, produced, and directed by Ed Wood. It spins the yarn about an alien invasion with an armada of aliens who look human, act human, speak English, and dress in human clothing. What's so alien about them? Well, they have a ray gun. Why they want to conquer this planet when their own world is probably an exact replica is beyond me and never really explained. Still, in order to conquer Earth, the quote-unquote aliens unleash not Plan 1, nor 5, nor 7, but 9. Why 9? We also have no idea. Which is the plan that unleashes an army of the undead, an army consisting of 3 that cause shock and horror to all by walking around with their arms out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Take that, humans. For the story of all that went into this film, behind the scenes wise, check out Tim Burton's Ed Wood. As for this movie itself, it's pretty bad. Well, okay, it's very bad.
You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid. Stupid!
But for me, I love it. I love everything about it. Plan 9 is an hour and 10-minute version of that one joke you never get tired of hearing. That one tune that you can't help but listen to on the radio. Also, you have to admire Ed Wood. I mean, he did it all. He sucked at it, but he followed through with his dream. Think of all the films that were almost but never completed due to various complications. Hell, check out Lost in La Mancha, the documentary about how Terry Gilliam failed to bring his own Don Quixote movie to the screen. He still hasn't done it. Ed Wood, however, never gave up. He did whatever he had to do to finish his movies, for better or for worse. Mostly worse. I can't help but think of that when I watch this movie, and maybe that's why I enjoy watching it every now and then. No, okay, 3 times a week. 5 times a week.
There's something really wrong with you.
I know this. I know this. No, seriously, I could list 20 movies I've seen that were just as bad, if not worse, than Plan 9, and that I never have a desire to see again. It may still hold its title as worst movie of all time. But for me, all I can say is...
Because all you of Earth are idiots.
Number 1, Rawhead Rex.
Rawhead!
If anything deserves to be called a guilty pleasure, it's this horrendous B-movie based on a short story by Clive Barker, my favorite author, who also wrote the screenplay for this movie and ended up hating this movie, as did many.
Well, we didn't.
I loved it. But for both of us, this remains our all-time greatest of guilty pleasures. It was one of those films where it was so bad it was great fun. It centers around a small town in Ireland where some of the locals are moving a penis-shaped stone out of the ground because, well, we're not really sure. I mean, it's just an empty field, and maybe they were planning on building some condos or pubs, but whatever. Bottom line, they remove the cockstone, and out pops an ancient evil demon named Rawhead Rex. The name alone is just worth seeing this movie. I mean, it's like a porno star crossed with a T-Rex or something. And look at this thing. Just take a minute and look at it. Imagine if a horse had sex with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you would have this. Look at its mouth. It can't be closed. Look at his glowing Halloween novelty eyes. Who wouldn't want to watch this thing for an hour and a half?
Your stupid minds. Stupid. Stupid.
Never mind. It was a rhetorical question. So, Rawhead terrorizes the town, eats a lot of really off-putting Irish people, pisses on a priest, aborts a woman's unborn child for some reason simply by going all ET on it, until it's brought down by a magic stone, only to pop up at the end of the movie promising to deliver us more Lucky Charm scares that sadly never come to be. The movie's story is pretty odd. Some of the acting, well, most of the acting is bad. And again, there are a lot of unpleasant people we have to endure. But the movie offers a few good creepy moments, a lot of gore, and ends up being just a good old-fashioned B-movie. Clive Barker may have been ashamed of this monstrosity, but we say, long live Rawhead. Seriously, we just love saying Rawhead.
Rawhead!
And there you have it, our top 13 guilty pleasures.
Which I feel the least bit guilty about, so nuts to you.
Dude, let it go. Join us again where we will continue to plague your public access airways with 30 minutes of mindless nonsense that is the Frankenzone.
And God help those who try to stop us.